The film opens in darkness and silence, the kind of silence that only fear can produce. We meet a couple named Thomas and Sarah, huddled and trembling in the shadows. Men are hunting them, men who answer to the village chief. That truth is enough to trap them in stillness, barely breathing, barely alive. Then Sarah hears it, the rhythmic thunder of approaching hooves. Her blood runs cold. Before she can even look to Thomas for comfort, the pounding begins, a brutal, relentless hammering against the door, as if the night itself is trying to break through. She turns to Thomas, her voice barely a ghost of a whisper, and asks what they are supposed to do. He answers the only way he knows how. He reaches for an axe. But when the men finally flood in, they don't give him the chance to use it. A rifle butt connects with the back of his skull, and he crumples to the floor. Sarah screams, raw, desperate, terrified, and then she watches, helpless, as Thomas is dragged away bleeding, his eyes finding her one last time before she is ripped from him and taken to the village chief against her will. This is the world of the Dark Valley, a place where fear is the law and suffering is the only constant. 20 years pass. Into this forgotten corner of the mountains rides a man named Greider, a photographer, quiet and solitary, traveling far into the peaks in search of landscapes worth capturing. When a remote village materializes before him in the cold mountain air, he doesn't hesitate. He has 2 horses, a camera, and a plan. He intends to stay until winter passes. But the moment he passes the threshold of the village, he feels it, every pair of eyes fixed on him, narrow, wary, hostile, because no outsider has entered this place in 20 years. 6 men step forward and block his path. They are the sons of Brenner, the village chief, Franz, Nicholas, Otto, Jakob, Victor, and Rudolf. They don't waste words. His presence is unwelcome, and he needs to leave now. Greider doesn't argue. He doesn't flinch. He dismounts calmly, reaches into his bag, and drops a heavy pouch of gold coins at Franz's feet. A quiet, deliberate gesture. Money doesn't always change minds, but today it does. They ask one thing in return. Take a photograph of Nicholas. The village gathers, curious and cautious, because none of them have ever seen a camera before. When the image appears and they see themselves reflected back, something shifts. The suspicion cracks just slightly, and Greider is permitted to stay. He is assigned a room in the home of a widow and her daughter, Lucy. Neither woman has any choice in the matter. They both know what refusing Brenner's sons costs. That first night, Greider makes a stop at the stable before settling in. Hidden carefully beneath the hay is a rifle, placed there in secret, meant for no one's eyes but his. Over dinner, Lucy and her mother tell him about the 6 brothers, about Brenner himself, a man of absolute power, brutal and unforgiving, his hand squeezing every corner of village life. Then after dinner, a noise from the stable draws Greider outside. He finds Lucy whispering with a young man named Lucas, her lover. They are making plans for a wedding, fragile, whispered, almost impossible plans. Their faces carry the weight of people who've learned to want nothing out loud. The following morning, Greider wakes feeling the uncomfortable sting of uselessness. Lucy and her mother are already up, cooking, tending to the horses, keeping the household alive, and he has done nothing. He offers to chop firewood. They accept. When the work is done, Lucy invites him into town to buy a few things from the shop of a woman named Greta. Greider goes along without protest. Among the items he picks up, almost without drawing attention to it, nails. Their purpose, for now, stays hidden. The calm of the shop doesn't last. Brenner's sons arrive, loud, arrogant, as if the air owes them something. They press Greider to drink with them. He declines. That's the wrong answer. Jacob strikes him, and they force the drink down his throat until he chokes. There's no pretense of friendliness here. It's dominance, pure and simple. Afterward, Lucy pulls him aside, her face tight with worry. Leave, she tells him. Get out now before this gets worse. Greider says nothing. He simply turns, and his expression says everything. He is not going anywhere. Days melt into one another. Greider photographs the valleys. He photographs the mountains. He moves through the village as though the incident in the shop was nothing but weather, something unpleasant that passed. But something in him has changed. He is quieter now, colder, watchful in the way of a man who knows exactly what is coming and is simply waiting for the right moment. And there is one thing that holds his gaze again and again, the wooden post standing at the center of the village. He looks at it the way a man looks at a grave he knows well. On one of his walks, Greider climbs a hill above the village and spots the priest standing outside the church in the distance. He stops. For a long moment he does not move. Old memories stir, the kind that don't ask permission and don't go away. Back at the house, he finds Lucy and her mother preparing for a wedding. She asks him to photograph it. He agrees immediately, with quiet sincerity, grateful in a way that goes deeper than words. Snow begins to fall the morning of the ceremony. Greider keeps his word, capturing Lucy and Lucas in the white stillness before the service begins. It's a peaceful moment, but the expression on Greider's face says his mind is living somewhere else entirely. Far from the church, Brenner's sons are logging. They're cutting timber and lining up logs for the horses to haul down the mountainside. At first, everything moves smoothly. Then it doesn't. The logs stop coming. Franz looks up, puzzled. Otto decides to climb up and see what's wrong while his brothers wait below. Then the logs start moving again. Steady, normal, one by one, and the brothers relax. Problem solved, until the final piece of timber comes crashing down. Otto's body rides it to the ground. Silence swallows everything. Not a word, not a breath. Otto lies motionless in the snow. He is dead. That night, his brothers carry his body back to the village. Brenner himself comes. He stares at his son without a word, then gives the order to take him home. Among the crowd that is gathered, Lucy notices something. Greider is standing far back, apart, watching. A thought creeps in, one she doesn't want to have. Did he have something to do with this? A few days after the funeral, Greider delivers the wedding photographs to Lucy and Lucas. Both families begin preparing for the ceremony set to take place at the church. But the atmosphere is wrong. It hangs in the air like something rotten. No one celebrates the way they should. Every time Brenner's name comes up, Lucy crumbles, pleading with Lucas to run, to escape this place before it swallows them. Lucas refuses. His family is old. They cannot survive without him. All Lucy can do is beg him to find some way to protect their wedding night. Lucas goes quiet, because there is no protection here. There's only Brenner. The next morning, one of the brothers, Rudolf, goes out alone to hunt in the snow. He's about to take his shot at a deer when a branch snaps behind him. The deer bolts. Rudolf seethes. He turns slowly, deliberately, moving toward the sound, ready to make an example of whoever disturbed him. Then something heavy and hard connects with his face. He staggers. He tries to run. His boots slip on the frozen ground and he tumbles over the edge of the hillside. 3 days later, his brothers ride out searching. When they find his body, there is a nail driven into his eye. Franz's memory fires instantly. He remembers seeing Greider buy nails in Grete's shop. In seconds, suspicion becomes certainty. They storm toward Lucy's house, but Greider is already gone. High in the mountains above the snowbound valley, Greider sits in stillness, watching, planning. This is not improvisation. This is a mission he has been preparing for 20 years. The day of the wedding arrives. Lucas and Lucy stand at the altar of the church, surrounded by a village in silent dread. Because here, marriage is not a celebration. It is a transaction, and a brutal one. The village chief has decreed a law that every bride must be surrendered to Brenner for a full week before returning to her husband. He calls it tradition. Everyone else calls it what it is, predation. And any family that refuses pays with blood. The priest performs the ceremony with an air that feels deeply wrong. His words are twisted. He frames this obscenity as sacrifice, as devotion, as something holy. When the rites are finished, Greider slips quietly into the church and approaches the priest. He has something to confess, he says. And then, with no ceremony, no trembling, he tells the priest that he has killed 2 of Brenner's sons. The priest's face goes white. Fear and fascination collide. Greider reaches into his coat and shows him a photograph. A woman, his mother. The screen dissolves to 20 years ago. That night, the night that made Greider what he is, Brenner and his sons, barely more than children themselves at the time, stormed a home and murdered Thomas, Greider's father. The priest was there. He helped. Sarah, Greider's mother, watched her husband die as she screamed into silence. No one came. No one moved. We see what came before it. After their wedding, Sarah was taken by Brenner, dragged into his world of abuse and dominion. Thomas could not live with it. He took his wife and ran. They hid in Greider's house. She welcomed them. She told them they were safe. Then Brenner offered her money, and she gave them up. Thomas was seized. He was killed in front of Sarah, in front of the entire village, a public execution designed to warn every soul watching, this is what defiance earns. That night, Sarah escaped. She swore on her husband's blood that she would have her revenge. Brenner, in his fury, burned her family's home to the ground, with them inside. Thomas's body was hung from the wooden post at the center of the village, left there until the crows claimed it. That post, the same one Greider cannot stop staring at. Back in the confessional, the priest understands it all now. Greider is the son of Sarah and Thomas. He has spent 20 years living for this moment, and the moment has finally come. Greider kills him where he sits. The wedding celebration continues, on the surface at least, but it barely holds its shape. When Jakob steps forward to claim Lucy for a dance, she is forced to rotate through all of Brenner's sons, one by one, against her will. Lucas finally breaks. He tries to stop them. They beat him into the ground until he cannot lift his arms. And then Lucy is taken, escorted out into the storm to be delivered to Brenner. In the white blur of the snowstorm, Brenner's men find something standing in their path. Greider, rifle raised, eyes steady. He tells Lucy to walk. She walks. The brothers freeze. Rage burns on their faces, but not one of them moves. Greider keeps the barrel fixed on them, cold and absolute. Then he speaks. "Meet him tomorrow," he says, in front of their farm. He steps backward into the snow and disappears. Lucy runs home to her mother and buries her face against her shoulder. For the first time, all that compressed terror breaks free. Greider escorts her to Lucas's home. They will begin their life together tonight. Some villagers are terrified, warning that Brenner's rage will be merciless. But Greider looks at them without wavering. From this point forward, he says, he will handle Brenner himself. He will end the tyranny that has choked this valley for decades. He gives them his word. Brenner and everything he built will be destroyed. Then he goes to Greider's house. He throws a bag of coins at her feet. He picks them up, one by one, and forces them into her mouth. She took money once to seal the fate of innocent people. Now she will swallow every coin of it, because a betrayal like hers has a price, and tonight he is collecting. Later, under the cover of darkness, Brenner's sons arm themselves and ride hard into the forest. Inside a small wooden cabin, Greider is asleep. He wakes with the instincts of a man who has survived by them and realizes immediately that they are early, too early. The gunfire hits the cabin like a thunderstorm. When the brothers decide the battle is won, Nicholas enters the cabin to confirm the kill. He finds Greider rising from a trap door in the floor. The shot is fast. Nicholas falls. The remaining three scatter into the trees. Jakob doesn't make it far. Victor tries to turn and fight. Greider is already faster. He goes down. Franz drags his brother's body and desperately reloads, convinced there must still be a chance, until bullets come from a completely different direction. He had forgotten that Greider never stays where you last saw him. 6 sons, 6 graves. Brenner's reign dies with them in the snow. Greider moves directly to Brenner's house. He arrives to find the furnace still burning. He warms his hands. Then a small child wanders out from the shadow. Brenner's grandson, innocent, curious, carrying none of the sin that poisons his bloodline. Then the ambush comes from behind. A blacksmith, loyal to Brenner to the last, hammers Greider into the ground. Blood darkens the floor. Greider can barely hold himself up. Lucas saves him. A gunshot in the dark, clean and decisive. Greider rises slowly. He tells Lucas to stay outside and guard the door. Then he goes in alone, room by room, staircase by staircase. Every room holds women and children, their faces etched with years of quiet endurance, the kind of suffering that doesn't announce itself but never leaves. At the end of the hall, in a dim and withered bedroom, lies Brenner, old, frail, a ghost of the monster he once was. When Brenner's eyes find the chain around Greider's neck, the chain with the photograph of Sarah, his face breaks open. He knows. He looks at the man before him and finally understands who has come for him. Trembling, he asks about his sons. Greider answers simply, "They're all dead." He raises his weapon. A single shot. Brenner dies in his own bed. Greider takes the chain, holds it a moment, and steps back out into the cold air. For 3 weeks, Greider rests at Lucy's home, tended to by her and her mother until his body slowly heals. When spring finally arrives, when the snow melts and color returns to the valley, Greider makes ready to leave. The entire village comes out to say goodbye. They don't see a stranger leave. They see the man who walked into their nightmare, armed with patience, grief, and a precision born of 20 years of waiting, and ended it. His revenge wasn't just for Sarah and Thomas. It was for every soul who ever bent their head under Brenner's shadow and dared not look up. The valley is free now, and Greider rides out into the spring light without looking back.